I really had to get quiet. I had to get off the internet. I had to actually not take in any advice for a little bit and really tune into myself and my child. This doesn't need to be like a big drastic change and moment where you decide to do this. It's like, well, maybe for the next few hours, I'm just trusting myself. I'm not looking in the first 40 days book and I'm not texting my mom. I'm just listening to myself and really tuning into my child.
Well, welcome to Biohacking with Brittany, the podcast where science meets wisdom. I'm Brittany Ford, holistic nutritionist, biohacker, and mom. And for years, I struggled with gut issues, hormonal imbalances, and the exhaustion of motherhood while running a business. Biohacking and functional medicine became my way back to clarity, vitality, and trust in my body. And that's why I'm here, not just to share information, but to share the practices and perspectives that truly shifted my health and my life. Each week, I bring you science-backed tools, honest conversations, and rituals I live myself so you can return to your own body's wisdom and create longevity on your own terms. Because your body already knows this is just the space to remember. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. I am sitting in Nicaragua. If you are watching on YouTube or Spotify, you can see the epic background that is behind me of palm trees in the wind. And I am so excited that you are listening to this episode and this podcast. Happy New Year. I hope you had a beautiful holiday season filled with love and friends and family and joy and time off and time for rest and alignment. And I'm so curious where you're at with your new goals and everything like that. And I am just going to kind of give you a bit of a life update because this is the first episode of 2026. So I have so much good things coming this year I'm really excited about. I'm actually completely restructuring my business and I'm bringing you way more content that I have never done before and way more content that's actually in alignment with myself, with my values, with everything that really feels true to me. And I think if you follow me on Instagram at Biohacking Brittany, you actually probably have seen this shift already in the last 3 weeks or so. And it's actually been very interesting this shift has been like in my brain for a long time. And now I finally am able to do it. And this shift of being in alignment with myself and where I want to take the business has actually got so many people replying in my DMs already. It really makes me think I should have done this a long time ago, but also this is the right step. So for example, I'm taking a break right now from working with all brands and working with all sponsorships, working with all collaborations in that space. I feel, and I actually wasn't even planning on sharing this publicly, but anyway, I feel burnt out from it. I feel like it's no longer necessarily in alignment with my values and where I stand with things. And I'm actually also rebranding this podcast completely. And I'm actually rebranding my entire business. So that will be dropping by the end of Q1 is Biohacking Brittany and Biohacking with Brittany will be upgraded to something brand new. And I am thrilled about this. And it is in complete alignment with my intuition and where I want to go and what I think is important and what I think you actually as the listeners need to hear. And I will do a full podcast episode more on that and a solo episode on where I think biohacking is going, its relationship to longevity, what I think about women's health, and all of the shift that I'm doing. I'm going to do a full episode because I know that the woman listening, especially if you run your own business, that might be interesting to you, and you also might be able to relate, and you're curious about where I stand. So much goodness and so many new things are coming in the next few months. I'm really excited about that. And I am in Nicaragua, and my goodness, if you have been following my stories, getting here has been a mission. And I think I should do an episode on it because they essentially tried to get us to take the yellow fever vaccine. And I said no. And it was a whole conundrum and a whole thing. And I will also be talking about this on a solo episode and because I got so many questions about it. But we have arrived and I'm here and we are in Nicaragua for the next month. Then I go to Costa Rica and I'll be in Costa Rica for a month. I'm running my women's health optimization retreat in Costa Rica. So if you want to join me in this beautiful location, you are welcome to. I think I only have 2 spots left as of last week, which would be incredible. And then we go to Mexico afterwards. So we are traveling right now. We are looking for the healthiest place to raise our family. We're looking for alternatives outside of Canada. And I'm posting a lot about this and vlogging it on TikTok quite a bit. So definitely take a look over there if you are interested. I know this intro is kind of all over the places. I'm trying to do like a little updates without like fully going into everything. But essentially my biggest thing is like follow my Instagram stories. That's where I post the most. You can follow me on TikTok. That's where I'm kind of vlogging our adventures. And then I will do some longer in-depth podcast episodes on upgrading my business, traveling as a family, and why we're doing what we're doing and everything along those episodes. So the overall sentiment is just like follow along for the journey. And I'm happy you are here and happy new year. Let's get started. I could not imagine a better guest to kick off this year and this podcast. Lindsey Simcik, my gosh, like the fact that I'm even saying her name, I'm such a fangirl of their podcast, Almost 30. So I had Krista Williams and I also have Lindsey now on the show. And I have been following their podcast since like 2018, I think, maybe even 2017. I just have loved the journey that they have been on. Almost 30 is a huge podcast, huge podcast with millions of downloads and really focuses on women in their 20s, 30s, and beyond, and the shift that you kind of go through during that time. So they do episodes on health and spirituality, but also on all sorts of things like relationships and life and lifestyle and alignment and all of these different things. So I got to sit down with Lindsey, who is someone I really admire. And we talked about motherhood, like really in the trenches of motherhood and what it brings out of you and how hard that can be. It was a very profound conversation. And I just respect her so much and the work that she's done. And I love following her journey on Instagram and everything that she's doing and posting and her family and all of these things. She's somebody I look up to. Same with Krista. Krista is incredible as well. But this episode, we really got to go deep into motherhood and how it changes you on a profound level, energetically, spiritually, everything like that. And she just gets it. Like as somebody who runs her own business as well, who works from home, who, her son is older than Callahan, but I think maybe 6 months, maybe a year older-ish in that range. So we definitely had a lot to talk about on this episode. So enjoy it. I will catch you soon for another one. If you want to connect about some of the things that I'm launching, like joining my paid community, my private community that's coming out. If you want to come to my free masterclass that's in a couple weeks on feminine longevity and how returning to yourself is the ultimate hack, let me know. That's not even public yet. So you can have a few people already in that. And I would love to just connect with you. And like I said, a couple more spots are available on my retreat, which is called Optimize Her. And this is going to be huge. Like I cannot stress enough how like spending the energy on a retreat like just propels your health journey, your healing journey, because it's just so much condensed into 1 week that it's so beautiful afterwards how much can come from that. And I know this, I just went on a retreat in November to Florida, so I get it. We are going to be doing all the cool biohacking stuff. And we are also going to be diving deep into where we're standing spiritually. Are we in alignment with ourselves? What's holding us back? And how can we really reach that next level of health without the next supplement, without the next biohack, without only those things? Like what more and what's the deeper work that actually needs to be done that will really move the needle? So you are welcome to join me. I would love to have you in Costa Rica. You get to be in a beautiful place like this. If you see my background, this could be us hanging out in the sun, getting our vitamin D. Enjoy this podcast episode, and I will catch you soon for another one. Everything we talk about will be linked in the show notes on my website, biohackingbrittany.com. And thank you for listening. I will see you soon for another episode. Okay, Lindsey, welcome to the show. I am so honored to have you joining me, first of all.
Thank you for having me, Brittany. I'm really excited. We were just keying about motherhood before we hopped on, so I'm excited to chat.
Exactly. I actually I have your Instagram story up on my phone because I saw it before we hopped on. You write, been up since 2:30 a.m. This sometimes happens during a full moon, I swear. He is doing great. I am unwell.
That's the truth. It's just, Yeah, we've been on I'm sure a lot of parents will nod their heads. We've been on a sleep journey for sure with Mav. And I think it's so kid dependent. You can do all the things and it's been a ride. But yeah, last night was really challenging. I'm solo momming. My husband's away until Friday for work. And so, yeah, I just lost the plot at a point. Like, I brought him into my bed. He wanted a banana, which I know was just a tactic, but I gave him a banana. Like, it was crazy. I'm like, what is happening? And I think they feed off of our energy too. And I was kind of losing it. So then I think it really did not help my cause.
Been there. I've been there. And then it almost feels easier to like get up and start doing things than to continue to try to put them back to sleep and rock them or whatever you're trying to do.
I know, because you think the thing you're going to try is going to work, and then it kind of it just spirals into something else. So it's okay. Today's a new day. The sun is out. I'm good.
How have you kind of handled, I think about sleep and I think about motherhood, and like one of the many things that can be judged on by other people, other parents. How do you kind of handle that if someone might say something or might hear that you're like struggling with sleep with your kid?
Yeah, I've learned as a new parent that one, you have to be really confident in your convictions and your values when it comes to parenting and your approaches, because there are going to be, whether from friends or family or what you read on social media, there are going to be these really sneaky pressures and judgments that come in around certain choices. And sleep was one of them. So, my approach to sleep was to not sleep train my son, specifically the cry it out method. And that is incredibly rare, as I found out. I feel like every mom I talked to in my neighborhood was like, oh yeah, we're doing cry it out. Like, I'm miserable. I have to leave the house when we're doing it and all this stuff. And, eventually they're like, it's amazing. They're sleeping through the night at 4 months. But it just didn't feel right to me. And so at 13 months, when we had just like, I don't think he slept through the night for all those 13 months. And I was breastfeeding until 18 months, which is part of, the wake ups during the night. Did reach out to a sleep expert who has a more gentle approach, no cry it out method, nothing like that, just like really supportive in how you teach your kids independent sleep. And she really kind of lets you lead in terms of like, these are my preferences, these are my values around, how we approach sleep, etc. So I ended up doing a gentle method, which was amazing, and taught him how to fall asleep on his own. So we would have a whole bedtime routine and put him down awake, and he would eventually fall asleep. What I've learned is that there are always going to be things that disturb sleep, especially in these early years. And I think we just have to have really realistic expectations, like teeth, sicknesses. Right now we're going through separation anxiety, and he's a little afraid, and he wants me to hold him and until he falls asleep. And that's just what we're doing. And so, you can think that you solve something and then they change, and so sleep has been this journey where I've learned to be incredibly uncomfortable. I've learned to be with that discomfort, whether it's sleep deprivation or, frustration in getting up, a few times a night or whatever the issue is during the night. And at the end of the day, I always remind myself, like, it's not going to last forever. He's going to be a teenager at one day and sleep in. I'm going to have to wake him up and so yeah, perspective. But just to close the loop on the original question, yeah, there are a lot of things that I have felt like I'm very in the minority about when it comes to how I am choosing and we are choosing as parents to raise Mav. And it hasn't been easy. I've felt very alone at times.
Honestly, you were one of the people who inspired me to stay away from the cry it out method.
How's that been for you?
It was actually great. Like we just got to a point where he started sleeping through the night at 15 months. He's almost 16 months. And it was really refreshing to see and watch your journey of it, which just goes to show like you might feel alone in the moment, which is totally valid. But like you are also influencing so many people and inspiring so many people you might not even know about.
No, I appreciate that. I don't feel alone anymore. Yeah, I do. That's one thing I do love about social media is I do get a lot of DMs from parents who relate to what I'm sharing about. And it's not easy to make that choice. I think so much of parenting is not making the easy choice, but making the choice that's best for your family.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt a lot of pressure, even in the beginning. Like I would get books that were like sleep train by 12 weeks or something ridiculous. And especially like with your first, I was just so overwhelmed in those early months. And then I remember like closing the books and just putting them away and being like, I can't handle this. Like I can't comprehend this.
Yes. Yes. It's so much information. I don't think we're meant to metabolize all of that information from books and experts and social media posts and our friends' advice and our family's advice. Not to say that it's not helpful at times, but I think because we're, quote, new moms, it's like a barrage of just information and advice, unsolicited or not. And I think it's just too loud and drowns out our intuition.
This episode is brought to you by Optimize Her, my women's biohacking retreat in Costa Rica, happening March 2nd to 7th, 2026. I am so excited, guys. This isn't just another yoga retreat. It's a 5-night, 6-day, science-backed health optimization woven into feminine restoration, designed specifically for women's bodies. We'll dive into functional medicine and longevity tools, experience healing sessions like sound baths and cacao ceremonies, and recalibrate with daily movement, spa rituals, and farm-to-table meals that support hormones, gut health, and vitality. It's not about fixing. It's about clearing the noise so you can actually tune into your body again. If you're ready for deep restoration and transformation, you can explore all the details in the show notes, and I would absolutely love to see you in Costa Rica. Yeah. So how do you tap into that intuition when you're in the newborn phase, when you have brain fog and you're so exhausted and you're overwhelmed? And like, I didn't really have a lot of support. I'm not sure what your situation looked like. I thought I would have more support than I did, which was like my own journey to go through. But that actually might be the case for a lot of women, actually.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, whether you have a full team helping you or you don't, it's difficult, and obviously it's on a spectrum, but, becoming a mom completely changes you. And I think for me and my intuition, I really had to get quiet. I had to get off the internet. I had to close the book. I had to actually not take in any advice for a little bit and really tune into myself and my child, And so this doesn't need to be like a big drastic change and moment where you decide to do this. It's like, well, maybe for the next few hours, I'm just trusting myself. I'm not looking in the, first 40 days book, and I'm not texting my mom or whatever. Like, I'm just listening to myself and really tuning into my child. How do we do that? We overcomplicate how to connect with our intuition and how to connect to our child's soul and how to connect to our own spirit team. Really, it just takes presence and intention. And so if you find a moment of quiet, which, to be frank, there's a lot of that in the newborn stage, because they're sleeping a lot. It's kind of a groundhog day. And you can find those moments, on the couch when you're breastfeeding, when you're putting them down for a nap and you just sit in the chair next to the crib or whatever that looks like. Just taking a moment to find your breath, taking a moment to just kind of drop down from your head to your heart and just really allow yourself to see what's coming up in the moment. There might be emotion, there might be information. And if you want to connect with your child a little bit more, just imagine your hearts coming together. Literally just visualize two hearts glowing, coming together. And I know it sounds corny, but it is really, really powerful to make it a practice because you will get information and you will begin to trust yourself to follow it. And it doesn't mean it's going to give you the best, easiest next step. It's going to guide you in ways that you're meant to go. Sometimes it's to make a mistake, and learn from that. So, yeah, I've had to really quiet all of the other voices to hear my own.
That's so beautiful. And honestly, like that visualization, I'm going to do that later.
Do it while you're breastfeeding because like your heart to heart kind of, And so I always used to do that and just, yeah, imagine that your breath is syncing with theirs and, just allowing it to be like really warm. You don't need to overthink it, but it's just like a really beautiful practice. And I feel like they feel it. They really do feel it.
Yeah, it's I've seen some videos and talked to like some friends in random mom groups, and especially in the early days, we talk about breastfeeding and they would talk about like scrolling on their phones while they breastfeed. And I have never done that. I definitely like went through a phase, especially early on, of like I was watching the Olympics and that type of thing on the TV, like further away. But there's just so much oxytocin and like good hormones and feeling that comes from breastfeeding. I couldn't imagine being on TikTok and then like having baby on boob. And I don't want to judge, but I also feel like it just makes me a little sad, I guess.
Totally. I completely agree with you. And I also think that there is like a very human tendency to want to escape what might be uncomfortable. And not to say that breastfeeding is uncomfortable once you get in your flow. But what I mean is, especially in those early days, it's pretty mundane. It's very repetitive every day, and I think it's really hard for us, especially in this modern age with social media, our phones in our pockets, all the things, to be really present. And it feels unnatural. Our nervous systems are not used to it. But, and I feel the same way as you do. I really made an effort not to be on my phone, not to be distracting myself. First of all, I didn't want a phone near my kid's head. And I didn't want them looking at it. But I just knew that like that connection there, if he was awake and looking in my eyes, like that is deeply profound to the point that I won't ever understand how profound that connection is and the effect that it has on him for the rest of his life. So yeah, I have understanding and compassion for people who kind of use the phone as a way to escape and just numb out and kind of just like, brain rot for a second, because motherhood can be so intense. And I find myself sometimes now, like just taking a moment and like just scrolling on my phone. Why am I doing this? And I catch myself all the time. I'm like, no, this is not the time to do this. Like, he is right here. We need to like be right here. And so I've like really made a pact with myself that we're not on our phone in front of our kid whatsoever. If he comes running at me and I'm on my phone, I put it down immediately. I all that to say, I think we are meant to challenge ourselves as moms to not give in to those just very like unconscious habits that maybe we had before we became a mom, or maybe we kind of developed because we became a mom and we don't want to be like truly where we are. I think it's on us to really, really work on that because it matters. I think it matters, and we don't know how much it matters because this like phone in our pockets hasn't been around for that long in the grand scheme of things. So I don't want to like look at a study 50 years from now and be a statistic where, I was on my phone all the time in front of my kid or while I was breastfeeding, whatever.
Oh, I completely agree. I actually was thinking about this and this whole movement of like distracted parenting above, like way beyond the newborn phase is like parents scrolling on their phones all the time. And we don't have a tablet. We haven't introduced screens really. But I think about him watching us or my husband. We both work from home. We both work on our phones. And I'm like, if we're going to say he can't have screens, how can we be on our phones in front of him? We need to model the behavior. But it's really hard when the lines are blurred, especially from like my husband who has a very intense job. It's like, you need to put the phone away. And it's just such a complicated thing. And in his mind, he doesn't think it's a big deal because he's just sending a Slack message. But then I watch my son watch him on his phone.
Yes. Yes, I know. I relate. My husband also has an intense job and he's on his phone or on his laptop. He's working quite a lot. And he's human. And sometimes, like, he forgets to pull his attention away from the phone when Mav's there or trying to get his attention. But, I think without being a nag, I try to remind him, and I do so by leading by example, one, and just saying, I'm really trying to, when Mav comes running from the other room and says, mommy or daddy, I'm just really trying to get off my phone immediately to show him that he is more important than this phone. Doesn't mean we can't ever be on our phones, but I just don't want him to subconsciously register that this phone is more important than him. So I think it's really important. Families should have an understanding, a pact on what phone hygiene looks like in the family related to how the kids relate to the phone. What's the rule? Do we not do phones after a certain time? Do we not do phones at all in front of our kids? Do we have a certain room that we use our phones in and the kids aren't allowed in there? Or like whatever it is, just stick to it. Have an agreement. I know it's inconvenient if we have work, emails, whatever. Yeah, being a parent is not the most convenient thing in the world, but I think this decision is actually a really critical one. A really, really critical one because I don't know about you, but neither me or my husband want our child to be like the teens we see on the street who are literally like glued to their phone. I don't want that. I don't want them so dependent on it, so addicted to it. But we're going to be going down that path if we are that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's not convenient, but it's important.
I actually love the idea of having a certain room for it.
Mm-hmm.
I might actually think about doing that because our house is like the main floor is very open concept. So it's very like you can kind of see everyone, but maybe, I don't know, maybe technology should be like the bedrooms or the offices and that's it. And just like out of the kitchen completely.
Totally. It's kind of like having a house phone, it's like in one spot and then you can kind of go there. And also like, I think the adults will like it too eventually. It's not fun to have your phone on you all the time. It's really not.
No, it's not. Like, why?
Yeah.
Very rarely is there anything that important that I actually need to like look at this notification.
Yeah. And I find myself like just mindlessly ending up on my phone. For what? I don't know. I have no idea.
Have you ever looked at the stats on your phone?
Yeah, I've had some really alarming, disgusting weeks. Disgusting. I think I've been better about it lately. I have a tactic where I just lock my phone in a drawer. I put it in a drawer and I forget about it after 5 minutes, which is really nice. It's like out of sight, out of mind for me. So I do that. I'll also delete my social media on my phone almost daily. So I can't go on. I can't, and otherwise, like, why am I on? I guess I'm text messaging, but not really that much. So I think that's really helpful for me. Yeah. You gotta hack it for yourself. Get around your unconscious ways you get into it.
Yeah. And I also think with practice, like it does become easier too. Even with like habits around food now, like I make a point that every dinner we all sit down and have dinner together.
Yeah.
And even though he might be eating like something slightly different or it might even only be 10 minutes, but it's like I want to start that habit of dinner time is when the family comes together without technology. It's okay that he's 15 months and he won't remember this, but we will remember that.
And listen, I know he's only 15 months, but what I'm learning as a mom to a 24-month-old, they pick it up. They pick it up fast. Like he's getting to the age almost where like there will be pattern recognition and he will expect certain things and it accelerates at, closer to 2. So that's for good habits and bad habits, So it's a really important thing that you're doing early on. I think it matters.
Yeah, I think it matters. Yeah, I agree. How do you think your marriage has changed since having your baby?
It's definitely changed. We have conversations about this a lot. From my husband's perspective, Mav is my number one priority, and my husband is kind of second to that. And I think there's some truth to that, for sure. But I also think there's some truth to my true effort in prioritizing them them both. I just think it's a change for my husband, so it feels a little bit imbalanced. We now have to kind of do the unsexy thing of like scheduling our dates or intimacy sometimes. Like it just is what it is. He's very busy, travels a lot for work. I am working. I work from home, but like I'm the primary parent with Mav. Yeah, we have to schedule. We have to schedule a lot of things. We try to do 2 date nights or day dates. I like day dates a month. If we do more, that's great. We have tub time every Sunday where we come together and just like catch up on the week, what we're grateful for, what was high, what was low, what's working, what's not. Any way we can support each other in the coming week. And it's just a nice, like intimate connection time for us. So you can do that in your tub. You can do that at dinner after you put your children down. Yeah, you can do it anytime, but I think consistently is really important. And I think the other way it's changed is that I think for me, I've always worked on and had to work on my ability to speak my truth, whether in my friendships, with my family, with strangers, with my husband, like to myself. It's just been part of my work. And I think now as a mom, I just have these really clear, strong convictions about things that are really important to me as far as how we raise Mav. And so expressing those in a really grounded, confident way has been, I think, hard for me at times, depending on the issue. But it's really important, and I always preface this with him by saying, like, this is really important for me to express, and it might not be like the most processed or clear, but this feels important to share with you. And so he knows that I'm working on this, so he holds really beautiful space. And yeah, it's just, I think, a new level of our communication has been unlocked. And then lastly, I'll just say that it's been interesting to notice the current of when he leads and when I lead as parents and as partners. He might initiate something all the time, and I'm learning how to step in and initiate that thing. Or I might feel incredibly passionate about, like, let's schedule family time. Like every single week, when are we spending time all together? And while he knows I'm really good at that and feel passionate about that, like I'm also encouraging him, like, I would love for you to initiate that and not always just default to me. So it's like really empowering one another to be the partners and to be the parents that we might not know we can be by like stepping in and stepping up, even though we might not be used to doing that. Not judging the other for not doing it or doing it, but just like really encouraging one another, wanting to hear what the other person thinks, what their approach would be like, because I think you can easily as parents fall into, well, she cares about that more. She always does that. I'll just let her do that. And sometimes that works, but I do think it's, again, like kind of a default and not allowing the other partner to really like embody more of the parent they're meant to become.
I love that. Yeah, I do. I do relate to that. I'm just like thinking how that plays out in our relationship and in my friendships and their marriages. And a lot of the narrative that I hear is moms typically, at least in my circles, feel like it's so much on them to do so much. Yeah. Then there's the mental load, and they really struggle to put the mental load into words for their husbands or men or partners, whatever, to understand. And even when I've had to explain to Ryan, like, what the mental load is, I'm like, okay, in a day, these are my thoughts. Are you thinking these things? And so it's hard to, I love what you're saying of like, maybe you take this on, maybe I take this on. But I also have friends who very much feel like it's easier if I do it. Like,
totally. Well, we have to monitor that. We have to monitor that because that's part of our need to control. I believe. I definitely have that part of me where I'm like, I could just do it better, and that has robbed my husband of moments where he can really exercise his dad side, you know what I mean? And like make a decision and trust his own intuition. So I get it because like when it comes down to it, maybe we do it better, but that doesn't mean that that's the best choice. Like my son chose both of us to be his parents, so even if my husband does something, quote, wrong in my eyes, it's like, Mav survived. Like, like he wore pajamas out, but like, it's all good. It's okay. So, but yeah, I relate. I relate.
Yeah. I had a friend come visit me recently from the other side of the country. And I was asking her she was visiting multiple people. And I said, "Oh, is your husband coming with?" And she said, "No, it's easier to travel with my kid without him. Like, I prefer if he just doesn't come." And through other conversations we've had, she feels like she almost has to manage him like another child. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't know how to do this. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's hard to even explain at that point of like, let him step into dadhood more when it just feels like he might not even know what to do and she has to explain everything. And there's just so much more management there and work for her.
Here's my thought, and I'm telling myself this because I struggle with this. If it's not a life or death situation, let your partners step in without trying to control or tell him or tell her everything that they need to do. Like I think we put the pressure on ourselves to have to translate to them everything that they need to do in order to do the thing that you don't want to do or they have volunteered to do. But one, that's stressful. That's annoying. And again, you're robbing them of trusting themselves. Like this is an exercise in trusting themselves. You can give them like just basics like, hey, the pajamas are in that drawer. His water's in the fridge. Snacks are in the cabinet. Like, I think you got this. And I know it'll feel uncomfortable and you're going to want to like look on the monitor to see if everything's going right. But at the end of the day, this is what it takes to empower your partner and to not be the one with the load on you all the time. You have to let go of control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We kind of had like different zones that my husband kind of did from the get-go. So like he always does bath time and gets him ready for bed. And then I step in and do the breastfeeding or whatever. And he loves it now because after work, he's like, I get this time where it's just us two. Mom's not there. And I don't monitor them. Like he knows where everything is. Like, how to fill up a bath, like figure it out. But yeah, I really had to just like let go and be like, you do this and I will do this.
Yeah. The surveillance by the mom is so real. My husband calls me out on it sometimes. And I'm like, you're so right. You're so right. It's really annoying. And I wouldn't want someone looking over my shoulder and kind of correcting me and whatever. I think it's our instinct because we do know most of this stuff. But it's such a good practice to just let them have a one-on-one, whether it's bath time, whether it's a few hours out so you can have a break, whatever it is, like that is so, so important. And watch your partner just become more confident, taking more initiative. Like it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there is a real beauty of confidence that comes later on in motherhood that I didn't know would come. And it was just so nice when I started to see it of like, this is how he naps. This is how he feeds. And then other people are asking me questions. I'm like, oh, I actually know now his rhythms and how it works. So it's like, how do we give that confidence to our partners? But the only way is really they have to do it themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's never going to be the same. And that's kind of the point.
How do you feel when you go on your work trips and you are like gone for a few nights or you guys travel and whatnot with the podcast?
It's hard for me, to be honest. I think the anticipation period, like the week leading up to the trip, is probably harder. Just prepping everything, making sure I'm just covering all bases from food to, who is caring for him at what time, bedtimes, everything, the deal. Leaving is hard. And then when I get there and I'm busy with work, I am able to distract myself. And I do have moments of feeling really good that I am able to be this part of me for a short period of time and then go back to my family. I think at this age, it's a little tricky because he's so aware. And so he is really missing mommy. And you have to find that really like balance of FaceTiming because like he might miss me more and get upset but also like wanting to remind him that I'm coming home, which he knows, but it's like, it's still hard. So yeah, it's I think hard for the both of us, but I have incredible support from my husband to our nanny to our family that I do feel very good about the hands that he is in. It's more so me. I just don't like to be away for a long
week.
Oh, first
Yeah.
one? First time?
First one going by myself. Yeah. So it's for 3 nights. So it's not
Great.
super long.
Great.
And it's just down to Florida and back. But I think I'm ready. Like I feel really good about it. I went away for my birthday in September with my husband for 2 nights. And that was like a big deal. And now I'm like, I can do 3 nights, you know?
And sleeping through the night is nice. You can kind of like, you can look forward to the things that you're like, okay, this is going to be really nice. Like focus on those. But yeah, I remember doing it around the same point, like around a year, we did like an overnight somewhere and then like 2 days somewhere. And I was like, oh, okay, this isn't as bad as I thought. Like I'm enjoying myself. I feel good about, who he's with and he's having fun. And it's also good for our kids, to have that experience with other caregivers that we trust, and to build trust with them.
Yeah, exactly. I was surprised actually at how calm I felt. Like I was like, oh, maybe I could go one more night when we went away for 2 nights. But I thought I would have anxiety and like, so much texting. What's going on? Did he eat dinner? Like all the questions. And it was really nice to just like let go. And going back to like marriage and relationship, like we really needed a weekend for just us.
Yeah. Oh my God, I know.
I was like, and then even when we went out for dinner, I was like, let's just not talk about our kid.
Yeah, totally.
Like we love him, of course, but
totally.
Like, how are you doing? How is this? Like,
Yes. So important.
So important. Yeah. And you don't even realize how important it is until you go back to that. And you're like, oh yeah, like this is how we work in our relationship and communicate.
Yes, big time.
How do you balance having such a thriving career and having a toddler at home?
I don't think it's really balanced. I think I'm in a season of my life now where I'm able to do mini sprints with work, which is really nice. So with almost 30, for example, Krista's coming next week and we're going to record a couple days, like all day. And then that'll be that until, February or March or something like that. So I do these little sprints, whether it's here in New York or LA for the podcast, probably once a quarter. And it works. It works. I can kind of gear up to go all in and then know on the other side of it, I won't have it for a while. And then as far as building my like motherhood brand, I have New Mom on the Block and then Momplex, which is my new Substack. I am just committed. I'm committed to pouring into it every single day. Some days are more fruitful than others. And I'm just giving myself a lot of grace with my energy because some days like today where I've been up since 2:30 in the morning, I don't have a ton to give to those things. And it's okay. I'm not going to beat myself up where I would have in the past, but I'm like, it's okay. Tomorrow's a new day and I'll have more energy and we can go at it. And so, yeah, I've noticed that there's a part of me that really it is truly a better mom when I'm able to be in that creative, expressive me. And then there's also a part of me that's like, I only want to be a mom. Like, that's all I want to do. And then when I am that and I have that for like, a week at a time, I'm like, oh my God, I need a break. So I just know that like, yeah, it's an ebb and flow of like where my energy wants to go. And I have to really respect the pull when it's happening. But I don't think there's balance, like last thing is that I don't get to like clock out of being a mom. You don't get to clock out of being a mom. So, when I'm done work calls for the day, unlike my friends who don't have kids, like I am on. Like we're doing play, we're doing dinner, we're doing bath, we're doing bedtime, we're doing middle of the night shifts. Like we are on 24 hours. And so, yeah, I think realistically, it's just not going to be balanced. You're not going to be your best every day. You can certainly try. And I'm always just trying to find ways in which I can just really fill myself up. And it's been a process.
I love that. Yeah, I've asked this question to many women on my show, many like mom entrepreneurs, women who run like really, really crazy, like very big companies and do all these things. And they have very similar answers. And it's really nice to see that. And it's like something I actually went through myself of like, how do I run a business and be a mom? Okay, these hours I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do this. And in the beginning, I tried to just make it so black and white. And then when I kept talking to woman after woman, it was like, no, just go with the flow. Like completely let go of the like masculine structure that we've created of like 9 to 5, you're going to work. Okay. And then I'm going to see my child before and after. Okay. That doesn't work for me.
Right.
So now it's like I still breastfeed my kid before he goes down for a nap. He naps at 11. I take off time. Like it's a priority. And so the amount of like shame and guilt that I've been able to let go of once I stopped trying to fit into a structure that didn't make sense for me.
Yes.
And I wish I had told myself that, a year ago.
I think that's a huge, just general message for parents, because all of a sudden we can feel like we have to do it this way. Why? Because someone told us once, or because that's what we're seeing trending on social media, or we read an article. And again, it's just drowning out our own intuitive pull to do what is best for us and do what feels really, really good. So yeah, if you do have the flexibility, design it how you would like to design your day. And be flexible and know that with a child, not every day is the same. Now, there are going to be days where they're super, super clingy, and really, really need you. And there are going to be other days when they're out and about and all good. But we have to be agile. And I think that's part of a discomfort in parenthood where we have to be ready to change on a dime.
Oh, it's very uncomfortable because like you make a plan and then life laughs at you or whatever that God laughs or whatever that saying is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
But it goes back to the intuition piece of like, even on Saturdays, like if he goes to bed early on a Saturday night and I have the energy, I'm like, oh, I'm actually going to like answer emails right now. And I'm not going to schedule them to like send on Monday morning. You're getting my email Saturday night. I don't care. Yeah. This is when I have time to work. I don't care about the judgment, whatever. Yeah. It doesn't matter. And just, I really had to let go of that. And I think a lot of women are letting go of that when they work from home.
Absolutely. And I hope more formal corporate workplaces are supporting that, just more of like an intuitive flow as long as people get their work done.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, we're going to hop over to my private community. I have some questions for you. Great. But before we do that, if people want to connect with you, where can they go?
Yeah, I would love to connect with your audience. Thank you so much for having me. I'm on Instagram at Lindsey Simcik, Simcik. I have a new Substack called Momplex, and this is where I'm just sharing my musings from motherhood, things I've learned, things I'm moving through. I'm having guest writers, guest moms to write for Momplex. Would love to have you. And yeah, it's something I'm really passionate about. I just adore writing. It's filled me up so much. I'm excited to share that. And then I have my YouTube New Mom on the Block. That's mainly for new parents. Lots of content there to support you in that first year. And I think that's it. And Almost 30 podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I will link that on the show notes and on the website so everyone can find you. We are going to hop over to my community. Thank you for listening to Biohacking with Brittany. I hope today's conversation gave you something to take into your own life, a practice, a perspective, or simply a reminder to trust your body. If you love this episode, please leave a review, share it with someone else who could benefit, and join me over on Instagram at biohackingbrittany for more. And if you're ready to go deeper, you can explore my retreats, community, favorite tools, all linked for you in the show notes. Until next time, remember, your body already knows.